me. So I'm starting on the one that says equation of a circle notes continued. It has our nice equation of a circle at the top, so I'm just going to rewrite it just for reference. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And what we're doing first is actually stuff we've done before, it's just now doing it with this formula, or I keep saying formula, this equation. We want to determine if a point is on the circle. How exciting. To determine if a point is on the circle, substitute into the point formula 4, and it says blank and blank, and that's just x and y. So we're doing what we've done before. If I want to check something, I can just plug it into a formula and see if it works. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, it's not. So the first example, it's asking is the point 2, 3 on the circle, and it gives us a nice little equation. So basically, if it's asking is that on the circle, we're just going to plug it in. So I would do 2 minus 2 squared plus 3 plus 1 squared. And since we know that the right side is 16, we're really just checking, does the left side equal the right side? You can just plug it in. You can do that in your head, right? 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 squared is 0. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 0 plus 16 is 16.
All right.
So we would say yes, that point is on the circle. So you can check anything in any equation that you have just by kind of plugging it in and see if it makes sense. Let's do the next one quick. So we have the point 0, 5. We want to know, is it on the circle x plus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 1? That's a 1. That's a 1. So plug it in. 0 plus 1 squared plus 5 minus 4 squared equals 1. No, that won't work, right? Because that's 1 squared, which is 1, plus 1 squared, which is 1. That would be 2 equals 1. That don't make no sense. So we would say, no, that is not on the circle. Can everyone please check the third one? Can you see if 5, 2 is on the circle? X plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 36. What do we got? Yes or no for that last one?
Yes.
That is a yes. Beautiful. So quick, but you know, we've done that before with equations. You can always plug into an equation to see if it makes sense. I feel like I have to sneeze. Allergies? Excuse me? Excuse me. Oh, feel like a new person. All right. Then the bottom part of that says, writing the equation given the center and a point. So I can do that. So it says, it gives us some step there. Substitute the center and point into the formula for h, k, x, and y. Beautiful. We can do that. We can plug in what we know. Solve for that, and it says blank. So for step 2, you're going to solve for the radius. So if we're given 2 points, we need the radius because that's part of our equation here. So we're going to solve for the radius as our second step. And then we're going to write the equation with the, and your blanks would be center and radius, because those are the things that you need to write the equation. Excuse me. I'm going to get some allergy medicine. So an example says, write the equation of a circle with the center at 0, 0, going through the point, or the point of 5, negative 12. So we're going to label what we know. If it's the center, we label that as HK. If it's a point, we label that as XY. And we're just going to plug in. We've done this before too, if we did this little quadratic. So if I did X minus H squared plus Y minus K squared, that's going to equal R squared. With our main goal being to actually solve for R. Okay, well that's easy. That's just 5 squared, which is 25, plus negative 12 minus 0 is negative 12. Square would be 144, equals R squared. So R, if I could write, equals 169. I actually don't need to find r, right? Because in my formula, I need r squared. So I can just kind of leave it like that. If you want to write that r is 13, go for it. But when I rewrite the formula back out, or the equation back out, I'm still going to use what r squared is. So that's what I need. So when we write an equation, x and y stay as variables, everything else gets plugged in. So my final equation would be x minus 0. I'm just going to write that as x squared, right? Plus, once again, we don't write y minus 0, we just write it as y squared. And that's going to equal r squared, which we just found that r squared was what, 69. And that would be our beautiful little equation. So plug in what you know, find what you don't know, write the equation. That's about it. So I'll do that second example with you, just a quick one. As you can see, these really aren't that bad. It's just a lot of using what you got and using that equation. So the second one, what do we got? A center at 2, -3. Just want to make sure I'm still in the center here. Oh, I got plenty of room. Okay. And a point at -4, 5. And it's saying, write me a nice little equation of a circle. So I'm a labeler, so I have HK, XY. I start to plug in, so we have x minus h squared plus y minus k, so I'm going to write that as +3, right? Because minus a negative squared equals r squared. I mean, you can throw that entire side in your calculator, go for it. You can use your head, whatever works for you, works for me. But what do we get? -4 minus 2 is -6 squared is 36. 5 plus 3 is 8 squared is 64. So r squared would equal 100. Once again, you can say that r is 10, but you don't really even need to do that step because r squared is what we need for our equations. And then when you write an equation, x and y stay as variables. Everything else gets plugged in. Squared equals 100. What a beauty. So can you guys try that last one? Come on, let's look at that other sheet. The other sheet's pretty close too, so. Making all these nice little, plug it in. So can you write the equation of a circle with the center at -5, -7, and going through the point 3, a 0? Excuse me. Yours. Look at this, we're just chugging along here. In circle. Papers everywhere. I'm not going to do the workout, but let's just kind of check it. I hate saying these answers. So for that last one, can you just check your answer? I got x plus 5 squared plus y plus 7 squared. So there's my HK. Once again, I use the xy, but I don't write that in the final equation. And that should equal 113 for that last one. Any problems with that, or just like plug it into that formula or using that? Fabulous. All right, so let's go to that other sheet. It says writing equations of circles. It has some nice little graphs on it. There's a step we need to go over. That's probably just been a while since you've done. Hopefully you'll semi-remember it. But we'll go over that quick. So, yep. Oh man, what was that? Story of my life. Excuse me. So it says, what's the definition of a radius? You guys know what a radius is. But it's just the distance between the center and any point on the circle. So I'll just rewrite it just for fun. Sorry, it takes me a minute to write. I'm not used to writing. Between the center and any point on the circle. Okay, so we know in general what a radius is. So the second part, number 2, says find the distance between the 2 points, -1, -2, and 5, 2. So we're gonna kind of do it visually first, and then you can decide how you want to do it from there. So you guys have a nice little graph. I'm just gonna sketch mine quick. So we have the point -1, -2, so right here. Excuse me. And we have the point 5, 2. And I want to find what is that distance. Hey, did you guys ever do the distance formula? Does anyone remember the distance formula? I swear to God, I'm a math teacher. I can never remember it. It's always, is there pluses or minuses? Yeah.
It's minuses because I remember looking it up for the MCAS review.
So it's a square root.
X2 minus X1 square root plus Y2 minus Y1 square. No, I mean squared.
Yeah, so it's under a big square root.
And then it's
thing.
inside a square root.
I'm going to be honest, I can never remember the distance formula. I'm a math teacher.
I only remember because I looked it up and wrote it on a sticky note.
Oh, look at you. Okay, if you can remember the distance formula, do the distance formula. What I always do is I just make a triangle and then do Pythagorean theorem. So, because that's actually what the distance formula is. It's just Pythagorean theorem kind of rearranged for you. So I just kind of come over and up. Excuse me. So I just want to know what's this distance. So what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get me some mail on the way home. And then I say, what's this distance? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Mine just said terrible. And then we want to find that distance over there. So remember, good old Pythagorean theorem: a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What's happening over there? Or you do your legs squared and that equals your whatever. However you want to think that. But we're going to do 6 squared plus 4 squared. What's that give me? 16 or 36 plus 16, which is 52. I'll just call it x squared. It doesn't matter. You can call it c squared if you want. Whatever makes you happy, you do that. And then to find that distance, we're going to take the square root of each side. Now, when we take the square root of each side, we are going to simplify it if we can. And we can simplify the square root of 52. It's 4 times 13, I believe. Yeah. So that would simplify to 2 root 13. Is that good old distance. So once again, when you do the distance formula, it kind of just takes your points and it subtracts them and it finds these distances and then it squares it and then you take the square root. But I'm a person, I just am like the worst at memorizing formulas, so I just like to know the process. And the process is just Pythagorean theorem. So I make my nice right triangle. I have my 2 sides. I'm finding the. I've got news. I'm struggling.
Yes. So how did you get 6?
I literally just count from here. What's the distance from here to here? 1. Well, mine's bad. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I was down. And then I just count from here to here. How many did I have to go up? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're just counting how many over and how many up did it take to get you to that other point. So just as a reminder of that stuff, but feel free if you like that for me, you go for it. So below it's a skill. Ooh. Write the equation of a circle with the center at -3, 7, and it gives us a point. Excuse me. Now, technically, I guess we could have done what we just did, right? Didn't we just plug in HKXY? and find it that way, but let's do it this way. This way it's more fun. So we can see, same thing, but maybe two different processes. And it's good to just think of things in different ways as well. And just see how we can use different pieces of info. So I'm gonna do it on here. I'm gonna say, okay. We are given the point something, -3.7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So this is just helping us to visualize what's going on. And we're given, that's the center, and then we have a point at 0.5. So technically there's a nice circle going around that, but we're just focusing on these two things. And I'm just saying, okay, I want to find that distance. Excuse me. So let's find, because in this case, that distance is the radius, right? So this is the radius of my circle, since that's the center and that's a point. So, I don't know, just count. From here, over here was 1, 2, 3, I just am like, it was 3. My graph is just terrible, so I always, and if I count up, how many I go up? 1, 2. So I'm going to find the radius. So I'll say radius squared equals 2 squared plus 3 squared. That's 4 plus 9, which is 13. So the radius is the square root of 13. Okay, well that's exciting. So step 2 says write the equation of a circle. It asks us for some information. So we would say the radius is the square root of 13. We would say that the center, it gave us the center, right? It just said the center was at -3.7. And then last but not least, it asks us for the equation, which would be x plus 3 squared, plus, I always want to make it a minus, y minus 7 squared. And remember, it's the radius squared, so that would just be equal to 13, because I have the square root of 13 squared. Now you're probably thinking the other way was way easier, and you're probably right, but we're going to do one more problem that's not on here for fun. And I'll show you maybe why this process might be helpful.
I thought that was the same thing, because you're just making a triangle.
No, the thing that we did on the other worksheet.
Oh, yeah.
Because remember, we could plug in HK, XY, and just find R. So actually, we're doing the same thing we did on that other worksheet. It's just this is like a different way to think about it, right? Want to use our brains. Okay, so there's one more question, and it's not on here because, I don't know. The day I was making these copies, it's like a miracle they even came out because there were just so many and I was having a hard time. So maybe just like flip your sheet over, we'll just do it on the back. I just have one more problem I want to do with you, and then we'll kind of wrap it up from there. Excuse me. So once again, this is not on a sheet because I don't know what I was doing. I don't know. Because I went crazy, that's why. And actually, I don't need all of these, I just. All right, so the endpoints. Of a diameter. No basic. Sorry, I just want to write it. Sometimes I tend to like write some of the information. I want to like formally write it out, so it's nice. R 7, 4 and -1, -2. What is the equation of the circle? Okay. Now what's all, like basically every problem we've pretty much done. We've been talking about the center, right? We're always given the center. It's always beautifully there. We don't have any center this time. We just have 2 points, endpoints. And when I say that they're on the end of a diameter, it means if I have one here, the other one's directly across from it if we're talking about a circle. So you're not going to have a point here and a point here. That doesn't help you. So they're directly across from each other. So we say that they're the endpoints of a diameter because they have diameters all the way across. So we're given 2 endpoints, but no center. Oh, stinker. Hey, how would I find the center of this circle? Yeah.
Midpoint equation?
Yeah, does everyone remember the midpoint formula? Once again, I'm the worst at remembering formulas. I just remember you kind of just find the middle, you just average them. That's what I always think. So if I want to find the middle between these 2 points, I'm going to average the x's, I'm going to average the y's, and that gives me a middle, right? So we do have a nice midpoint formula if you want to remember it. It's just x1 plus x2 over 2. Once again, the average, you add them up and divide by 2. And then y1, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. So we're just trying to find the exact middle of those 2 points. So I can do that pretty quickly just by either plugging them in or just doing the average right in my head. So 7 plus negative 1 over 2. Well, 7 plus negative 1 is 6. Over 2 is 3. Excuse me. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong problem. Yep, that's 3. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong problem. I was confused. And then I'll average the y's. So just add the y's up and divide by 2. There's 1. Okay, oh, we have the center now. That wasn't that bad. So if you have 2 points on the end of a diameter, the center of 1, right the middle, right? And we just found it pretty quickly. That wasn't too terrible. So at this point, you can kind of decide what you want to do, because unless I'm like super specific and I just say write the equation, you just write the equation. So if you want to do, excuse me, you don't have this, never mind. You could do a nice graph and visualize it. I'm going to be honest, I like when I just plug in x, y, hk and find r. I like that process a little better. So I'm going to say this is my hk. Pick a point. I'm going to say this is my xy. You can pick either point. You'll get the same answer. I'm going to just plug into my formula. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Because we need r, right? Or actually, we need r squared. So let's just throw it in. That's 4 squared is 16. That's 3 squared is 9. 16 plus 9 is 25. That's r squared. Technically, you can tell me that r is 5, but I really care more about r squared in this case. Because now we have everything we need to write my equation. X minus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared is going to equal r squared, which is 25. So if you wanted to go back and do a sketch, because that just makes more sense in your head, feel free. You would just need the center, you would need a point, you would count, rise over run, do your little Pythagorean theorem deal. But what we saw is like either process that gives you the same answer. So that's it. So I just wanted to show you that one just because we weren't given the center, just as a reminder of how to find the center. You just average the x's and y's. Oh, look at us, like we're just loving life lately. Just chugging along, doing what we can. All right, so that's the stuff that we needed for today. Excuse me. So we had kind of 2 worksheets for class. That next worksheet that says equation of a circle practice 3 is tonight's homework. Okay. So instead of doing a big long problem set, I was even sick of problem sets, I'm with you. We're just doing a few problems a night, and they shouldn't be anything too crazy. So that will at least split it up for you and not make life as terrible. So with these, once again, I'm sorry, some of the numbers got cut off on the left side, but you should be able to kind of work off what you have. The first section, you're determining if a point is on a circle, so you're basically just plugging in the point and seeing if it works or not. And the second section, you're writing the equation of a circle given a center and a point. That's not bad either. You can just plug in HK, XY and find your R. And that will be that for tomorrow, or for today. Tomorrow, we have like a little bit of work to do. I know, I hate doing work on a Wednesday with you, but it's just one of those, it'll save us from having to do stuff after vacation, which will be delightful. So tomorrow, it's we're doing stuff, but it's like super easy, so you should be fine. Actually, I think it's just like a little wrap-up thing. And then we'll just continue. Hey guys, I know you're gonna be super excited. On Thursday, we have this thing called general form that we're gonna start. And you guys remember how to do completing the square?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be.
wait. Is that where you like leave the spot open and you guess the number?
Yeah, you do like blank and blank, and then you gotta fill it in, and you gotta do a button. So that's part of it. It's almost like everything we do is related to each other. So exciting. All right.